Hi, welcome back. This is another hidden game design mechanic mini talk. These advanced hidden game design mechanic talks are kind of the advanced tutorial section based on the popular Make Your Own Mobile Game in 60 Minutes talk that I put up on YouTube. And once again, the goal of these hidden game design mechanics is to kind of give you this special hidden knowledge that you can use to actually make your mobile game stand out in the marketplace. There's a lot of apps and games out there, and you can use these hidden game design mechanics to kind of add a new twist to your games. And once again, these talks are sponsored by chromacoders.org, a site and club dedicated to helping students make their own mobile games. You can go to chromacoders.org to go through some of the other tutorials. You can also go to the chromacoders.org/blog page and listen to other successful mobile game developers that we've interviewed. So feel free to check that out. So today's hidden game design mechanic is hidden game design mechanic number 104, which is game localization and globalization. It's a very simple mechanic, but very powerful. Basically, what it is translating your game into different languages. If you think about it, and for a lot of people that are kind of like Europe or US centric, a lot of the smartphones that are being sold are outside the US are in different languages. And game localization is something that I've done in the game Zoo Club. Zoo Club is another game done in Corona, and it's gotten over 1 million downloads. And we definitely get downloads from people from many different languages and countries because we did translate into them, so it helps. Secondly, another game that you may have heard of that was also done in Corona called Blast Monkeys. I mean, that game has reached over 10 million downloads, and a lot of the downloads have come from non-English speaking countries. So with Zoo Club, what we've done is we translated into English, Russian, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, a whole bunch of languages. And it's not too hard. So let me just play the Zoo Club video just to give you a sense of what Zoo Club is about. Zoo Club is an MMO. So because it's an MMO and there's constant content, it is definitely a little harder to translate this, but for most developers who are making games in Corona that are physics games, just translating the play button or whatever else is pretty easy to do. So I think the other thing that's also important is that as you translate your game, there are going to be options within the iPhone App Store or the Apple App Store and Google Play Store to actually auto-translate your descriptions and stuff like that. Be sure to do that. Just even auto-translating in Google may increase your download rate by 2 times. And actually I noticed that with some other apps that I've done is when I just auto-translated a description, which just requires like pretty much literally clicking a button or some option in your Google Play Market, whatever page, it double downloads. So that's something you should also look into. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go into the code tutorial. And so to do that, what you can do is you can go to chromacoders.org/gamemechanic104.zip. And while you're downloading it, I also want to mention that even Google and Facebook, a majority of their revenue now is coming from outside the US. And so it is worthwhile to translate your game just so that you can get exposure to people in, say, Spain or some of these other non-English speaking countries that also want to spend their money, or also like ad networks are trying to reach them. So definitely look into that. Some people say, well, why translate it? The majority of the revenue is in the US, but actually now what's happening is that even a lot of the revenue is coming from outside the US for a lot of companies, and that may be the case even with your game. So that's something to look into. Okay, so now that you've downloaded it, extract it to your desktop, and you'll have a folder called game-localization. So let's open it up, and let's go to main.lua. So go to open with Text Wrangler. Now, because you're translating text, it's going to probably ask you when you save this file, save it into a different format like UTF-8 or something else like that. And definitely go ahead and do that, because as you use different text and different characters, you're going to need a kind of a different encoding format when you save the files. Okay, so we open that up. Now let's open up Corona. Okay, so Corona Simulator. once again, we're going to do this in Corona because Corona allows you to really focus on the gameplay versus having to worry about all the little technical details or memory details or whatever else. Zoo Club was done in Corona, and as I even mentioned, the Blast Monkeys game, that was done in Corona too. So go to File, Open. Okay, now we're going to open up that main.lua file in the game localization. You'll notice that it's black, and because pretty much we've commented out all the text, and so we're going to go now through this and go through step 1 and step 2 and step 3 to actually show you how to display some of this text. This code tutorial will just show you kind of a simple way of displaying hi and play in different languages. And in fact, though, for Chinese and Spanish, for the play version, we'll go into more details about what we're going to do. That's a little twist. So, okay, so step 1 is create the localization function. First of all, uncomment out. We're going to create a table, like a translation table, and we're just going to make it empty. And now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create subtables. One is English, right? Translation English. We're going to create another subtable called Chinese and another one called Spanish. Now, as you add more languages, you could add more subtables. Because within each of these subtables, we're going to store kind of a key associated with that text. So for example, for English, we're going to say English sub hi is equal to hi. And then we're going to say that the translation of Chinese sub hi is, that Chinese character. And then the translation of Spanish sub hi is hola. Okay. And now we're going to also do it for play. Sometimes you use the play word in your game for your menu screen or whatever else. We're going to say English play equals play. And then Chinese is, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to translate.google.com. You can go there. It allows you to do free translation. So if you have a little text in your game, you can just go there, type in the text in English or whatever language you're normally comfortable with, and then have it translate into the language that you want it into. Okay. Okay, so that's step 1. Now step 2 is we're going to write a function which pretty much we can call that will send it the translation key, like say English, Spanish, or Chinese, and then we'll send it the ID. The ID could be the text ID, like say hi or play that we want it to de-encode. So, okay, so we uncomment, we say the translation text is empty at first. Then what we do is we say translation text is, the key. So for example, if we sent in English, comma, hi, it would say translation. It'll look up translation sub English sub hi. And what we do is we say, sometimes when you try to translate text, you may forget to even have actually put it in a table. So we say that if the result is nil, we're just going to give it a default value of coming soon. And so whenever you see coming soon or whatever else, when you're translating stuff, or when you're calling this, you realize that you forgot to actually put that in the table or in one of the tables. So there you go. And then finally, once we get the translation text, we're going to return it. Now step 3 is just displaying it. So we're going to create something called a local variable called playText. Okay. And we're going to first of all just display hi for each of the languages. So we just say playText equals get translation text English. English is the translation key, and then hi is the translation ID. And then we're going to display it, display.newText. Hi. And then we're going to do the same with Chinese. There you go. And then we're going to do the same with Spanish. There you go. Okay, so now we're going to save that, and we're going to see what shows up here. And you can see that now it shows you hi. We display that hi text in English. Now we have hi in Chinese, and we have hi in Spanish. Now, what you probably want to do, and what I've done in Zoo Club, is actually when the player first starts out the game, I actually have a dialog box that asks them what language they prefer. You don't have to do it that way. You can actually go and check out their system settings and see what language they've chosen, and save that in, say, an SQLite database or somewhere else, so that you can just consistently set that as a translation key. You don't want to necessarily have all the different languages being displayed at once. The only reason I'm doing that now is just as an example, but as I said, either get their settings, save that, and then just load that as the default translation key, and then display everything in whatever their pre-chosen language is. Okay, so we did that with hi. Now we're going to do the text play. Okay, so we uncomment out this line We're going to do get translation text English play. Okay, and then we're going to do it for Chinese. And okay, we uncomment that out line. And there you go. Spanish, there you go. Okay, so we save that. And you'll see now that we display play for the Chinese play text and the Spanish play text. I'll leave that as something that you can do. Just go to translate.google.com, and then once you get that value, just replace it here in the Chinese play entry, and then same for Spanish in play. Okay, and so there you go. So once again, this hidden game design mechanic is for game localization globalization. Basically, if you look at what's happening with the world and even a lot of these companies, a majority of people's revenues and these companies' revenues is coming out from outside the United States. And so these other countries have different languages. These languages can be Russian, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Japanese. For example, with Angry Birds, I think they were saying that Chinese was the second biggest market for them, so that was important. You even look at Apple. Apple makes billions of dollars in the Chinese market, so it pays to actually reach out to customers in their native languages. And the code tutorial, once again, you can go to chromacoders.org/gamemechanic104.zip, and it just shows you how to display text in English, Chinese, and Spanish. So thanks again. I hope you find this useful. I hope you do use it and implement it in your own games. Remember, you can also be sure to auto-translate the descriptions in Google Play and also in the Apple App Store. You may need to actually just go to translate.google.com, get the text, and put it in the Apple App Store descriptions. But that's another way to get more downloads and to get more players for your game. So thanks again. Enjoy.